escaping the realm of darkness. The paranormal guys are on a quest to find the answers to the hard questions of where the normal meets the paranormal and the weird, and where the natural meets the unnatural. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and get ready for the Paranormal Guys podcast.
Hello, everybody. Once again, it is the Paranormal Guys podcast. Today's date is February 5th, 2023. This will be aired on March 23rd, 2023. And the subject for today will be the Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, which will be, when this airs, we are going to be investigating it on the 25th. So we're going to do a full investigation in there, and we're going to come back and find out and give you whatever evidence that we gather for that investigation. And let me bring in Mr. What's your name, sir?
My name is Mr. Steve.
Well, what's your last name, Mr. Steve?
No, I'm just going to go with that now. I think, Madonna.
Oh, you made a choice?
Yeah, I'm going to be Mr. Steve.
All right, well, we'll just call you Mr. Steve for now.
Just for today.
All right, Mr. Steve.
All right.
Just for today. What's been going on, Mr. Steve?
Hey, I got this really cool book, man, that I started reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's called God and the Paranormal, and it's written by Bishop Christina Rake.
I just got mine in the mail today, too.
This is a very good book. The subtitle is Psychics, Ghost, and the Afterlife in the Bible. And she breaks down like all of those instances in the Bible and kind of gives an explanation of it. It's going to be a cool read, man. I'm excited about it.
I'm going to start reading it probably Tuesday, actually.
We're going to become experts.
I don't know if we'll ever become experts. I don't know.
We're going to be called the Para-Experts guys.
The pair of experts guys. I think we're just paranormal guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll still be normal.
And as this is being aired, it's a day after that we did Dark Matters. We did Dark Matters for Side Street Studios. We were out there with Archbishop Christina Rake for a live in front of an audience. And it went really well. I'm going to tell you, everybody loved her.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh, my God. You can't love her, man. I mean, she just speaks so well about about the subjects that we always ask her to do, either it be the resurrection of Christ like we've done in the past, or it's about demons and exorcism as we did yesterday. I mean, she just did a really, really great job. And just so you ladies and gentlemen know that she has her books out, you can get them on Amazon. That's where I got my book. We can put up something a little bit later so that you can get the title of the hopefully we can put it right underneath here, and you guys can have the title of her book. Right. And then you guys go look at it on Amazon as well. A couple other things that are going on. We are, like we talked about a couple of episodes back, we are branching out to go and do some conventions this year, Steve.
That's right.
Yeah, we are going to be out in April. I believe it's April 22nd to Nick Sarlo's Spirits in the Spring. We're going to be out there. Then we're going to be at Troy Taylor's Haunted America in June. We're going to see if we can do a couple more. We're in the process of thinking of different ideas for new tours for October. If you have any ideas, like what you would like to see or like to be on, why don't you hit us up at Neal, Neal, at gravesideparanormal.com, or Steve, Steve, at gravesideparanormal.com. And, you guys can kind of give us ideas of what you want. What you would like to do. We have some interesting ideas that we're thinking about doing. So feel free to reach out to us. Yeah. So what else is new with you, Steve? Besides your book?
The book I'm excited about. Yesterday was cool. And just so folks know, if you haven't caught the Dark Matters episode, we will be releasing that on, what is the date? Is it
the 23rd of February? 23rd.
So catch it there. And it's kind of funny because we were in front of a live audience and there were some Satanists in the front row.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. So you'll hear some funny back and forth on that episode. I guess all in good humor with Bishop Rake up there.
Oh, yeah. She was a very
she handled
very
it
good
well.
About everything.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a whole lot. I got some cool news. I think you got some cool news. And I think we have a really cool format for news now.
So,
You want to tell them
ladies and
about it?
gentlemen, boys and girls, just so you know, we have come up with a new idea. It's going to be called Truth or BOO-Shizzy, as in, like BS.
BS.
But we put the words in boo and then shizzy. So you decide what it is you're going to hear the article.
Is shizzy French?
It's a French word. It's a French word. I've heard it many, many times when I went to France.
BOO-Shizzy.
You're on the BOO-Shizzy, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So you seem to be on BOO-Shizzy.
Something smells like BOO-Shizzy.
This smells like some BOO-Shizzy. Sir, is that you or is that your BOO-Shizzy? All right, so we got the concept. So you're going to decide at the end. You decide, and we'll tell you at the end what is the true article and what is the false article. Sometimes we might have 2 true articles or 3, or maybe all of them be BOO-Shizzy.
But we'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. For BOO-Shizzies and giggles. All right, so let us get into the news.
All right, here we go.
It's now time to play Truth or BOO-Shizzy.
2 weeks ago, residents of the downtown Chicago were in for a surprise when a Bigfoot sighting was reported near the Willis Tower. Eyewitnesses claimed to have seen a large, hairy creature wandering the streets and even trying to hail a taxi. The Chicago Police Department quickly responded to the scene, but when they arrived, Bigfoot had already vanished. The officers searched the area but found no trace of the elusive creature. However, the story took a humorous turn when it was discovered that the Bigfoot sighting was actually a man in a costume. Imagine that. It turned out that a local comedy troupe was performing a stunt in the area, and one of its members had dressed up as a Bigfoot to entertain the crowds. The residents of downtown Chicago were amused by the prank, and the comedy troupe became an instant hit on social media. People from all over the city were talking about the Bigfoot sighting and the clever stunt. In the end, the Bigfoot sighting turned out to be a hilarious moment for the residents of downtown Chicago and a great publicity stunt for the comedy troupe. Now, imagine that if you actually thought that you saw a Bigfoot in any downtown area. That would be quite weird.
The picture that you gave me for this story, why is Bigfoot always blurry and pixelated?
That's a very good question. So this was taken in the downtown area. And it was someone on the fly, I guess. I don't know. Why is it always blurry when it's Bigfoot?
I don't know. That kind of lends credibility to that story. I kind of think that your story may be the true one.
Well, you never know. And
because it matches the Bigfoot, picture
idea.
Thing. It's got to be a fuzzy pic, or it's a good fake.
You know what? And these guys, they should have done a thing where like he gets like a Chicago hot dog or something.
Yep.
That would have been a good idea for this group. But so it's up for you, ladies and gentlemen, to decide truth or BOO-Shizzy. And that leads you to Steve. What's that?
The Bigfoot one seems like it could be true.
Hey, man.
I've got a story, and I've got something a little bit more than just a picture. But you know me, it might be. I might have created it, but I don't think I created it. You'd be the judge, okay? I'm gonna tell you a story.
Tell me a story, Steve.
This is in the news. It's not fake. Police in Michigan responded to a rather unusual call this week after a concerned resident reported seeing a chupacabra. According to local media report, the strange incident occurred this past Wednesday evening when a woman in the community of Jerome Township phoned 911, claiming that the infamous cryptid was lurking outside her home. And as if it weren't odd enough, the creature was accompanied by a capybara. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. By a
Hold on, wait a minute.
A capybara.
Capybara?
Yeah. Okay. You know what a capybara is?
No, please explain to our audience.
That's a capybara.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's a rodent, and it can grow to be almost 5 feet long and 2 feet high. And they kind of run around in like a lot of them together, maybe up to 100 of them together, usually.
So people thought this was a chupacabra?
No, she said there was a chupacabra accompanied by a capybara.
Oh, sorry.
And now, when 9/11 gets a call, they kind of have to follow up on it. So, despite the wholesale weirdness of the call, or perhaps because of it, police were dispatched to investigate the report of a blood-sucking chupacabra and its docile rodent companion roaming around the area. And Neal, I've got the police dispatch recording.
Please.
Take a listen to this.
Central 5147. You got the call. 5147. Woodview Village Apartments. Going to make contact with April. Wishes to report an animal of action believed to possibly be a chupacabra. 5147.
Here you go again. What's the animal?
A chupacabra, sir. She described.
Turn around.
2147.
There's been a high amount of sightings for those in that area lately, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. You know, I
They didn't find a chupacabra and they didn't find a capybara when the police arrived. And Sheriff Myron Green later explained that the responding officers verified there was no evidence of strange animals. And when the woman was asked why she might have thought that she had seen the creatures, she said she was coming off of using some intoxicating substances.
well, yeah. People see a lot of things when they're taking intoxicating substances.
So which story is true?
So
and which one's false?
Story is true. Or
We need to put
BOO-Shizzy.
like a polling system and do these live, I think.
So when we come back after the next message, we will reveal what is true and what is BOO-Shizzy. It's up for you, ladies and gentlemen, to decide tonight. So, Steve, let's take us into now our little message that we have for everybody, and then we will come back with if it's BOO-Shizzy or the truth.
When I was a kid, we had a ghost. His name was Casper, and he was an unfriendly ghost. Casper was a bad dude. He ran a bunch of bad booze. They'd rattle chains and scare us all night long until one day I decided to stand up to them. Anyway, if you find yourself in a similar situation, then come on, man. Call the guys at Graveside Paranormal at 708-227-7747. Again, that's 708-227-7747. You'll be glad you did. Boo.
And now, back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, now the results of truth or BOO-Shizzy. My first story was the Bigfoot story in the downtown area of Chicago. What did you think? Is it truth or BOO-Shizzy? Steve, put up the answer.
BOO-Shizzy.
And then Steve, now, what did you think of Steve's story?
The chupacabra and the capybara. True.
All right, thanks for playing Truth or BOO-Shizzy. Steve, tonight we're going to be talking with two ladies, Sandy and Jacquie, from the Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana. We are going to be doing an investigation there on March 25th. So one of the things we want to do is we want to pick these ladies' brains and find out what we're walking into and what we could be looking forward to inside the Lake County Jail. Let me give a little history on the place real quick.
Okay.
In 1840, Crown Point was established at the county seat of Lake County, Indiana. A frame courthouse was built in 1849 on Clark Street. The building contained a courtroom, jury room, and sheriff's room. In 1851, a small wooden jail was heavily hardwood cross planking and cells defined by sheets of iron were added. The old sheriff's house and Lake County Jail, located in Crown Point, Indiana, are proud to be recorded among the National Register of Historic Places. The official list of the nation's historic places worthy of preservation, the Crown Point Jail was considered to be one of the finest in Indiana and thought to be escape-proof. And we'll get into that. Sandy and Jackie, welcome in to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Ladies.
Did I do the history okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Absolutely.
we're on point on that. Good.
Yeah.
Just now, Sandy and Jackie, you are kind of like the caretakers or the jail guards, the last two jail guards of the county jail. Am I correct?
Pretty much. Pretty much. So like you were saying, it's on the historic register.
Right.
So it's owned by the Old Sheriff's House Foundation, and we're a board of 9. So I'm the president of the board. Jackie's the vice president. I've been here 12 years. You've been here about eight years. Yeah. So yeah, we're guards too, I guess.
You guys now, like when you guys are there on the like the midnight shift, let's say you're there on the midnight shift, the 11 to 7 shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys, if you hear some noise, you say, everybody on that noise, go to sleep. It's time to go to bed.
Yeah, no, we run. No.
No, we don't do that. All right. I just wanted to see, just some terminology. Just wanted to ask. Now, first, Sandy, let's know a little bit about you. How'd you get into the paranormal, my dear?
I've always liked all the ghosty stuff since I was a kid. So I've always read all the stuff, watched all the shows. Big fan of, the TV shows when they first started coming out, right? Like Ghost Hunters and all those. Huge fan. I grew up in Crown Point and honestly didn't really know the jail was here or pay attention to it until Universal Studios came through and was filming for Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. And then
good movie. I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. So I was up here, watching all that. And then after that was done, I came in here for a tour and basically never left. I started volunteering. I fell in love with the building, and at the time they didn't let a lot of people in here. So I talked to the board and I was like, if you let me run ghost hunts, I can make money for you. And they agreed to allow me to start running ghost hunts. And then they asked me to be on the board. And now I'm the president of the board.
Nice.
Good for you. Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, anything ever happened to you personally inside the county jail?
Okay. So this is my big story, I guess. So we had a medium or psychic come through, and she had said she felt there was a priest on the 3rd floor in Federal saying Latin prayers. She didn't know if it was an inmate or they were talking to the inmates, So I thought maybe I'd try playing Latin prayers on my phone in that cell block. And as I was standing there, I kind of realized that I couldn't swallow. And then I kept trying to swallow. And then it felt like pressure being pushed in on my neck to where I felt like I was being choked. So I turned off the prayers right away and I left that cell block. I went out on the landing, and the further I got away, the better it got. But it was so fast and it was so real, that sensation of being choked. That I have, occasionally I'll play them again to see, but I usually like when lots of people are in there with me.
Right.
But yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. You mentioned like Latin prayers. Can I ask, did she describe it as chanting?
No, she just felt that there was a priest, just like kind of saying his prayers.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Sandy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the reason I ask about the chanting is we've had some crazy EVPs come up lately from different sources, and we noticed a pattern of like a Latin chanting occurring. So when you said prayers, I was kind of curious if there's like a running theme here for us.
Right.
But
and I think
now, Jack.
Yeah. Your experience. Which one?
So that's who I want to get to next. Now, Jackie. Now you've been here at the county jail for about 8 years, right? All right, 8 years. And how did you get to want to come in there?
My son, actually, we threw a big haunted house as one of our biggest fundraisers. And my son, we give community service hours to the high school kids to act, and it's all volunteer run. And he was doing it, and he kept on telling me, he's like, Mom, you just got to come up here, because he knows how much I love Halloween. I love haunted houses. And I kept on putting him off. I'm like, no, I'm not doing a haunted house.
I'll bet you that's the first community sheet that gets written all filled in first.
Oh, yeah. They can wipe out all of their things, their entire 4 years of high school, the community service hours they need in one haunted house season.
Yeah.
But all of our kids keep on coming back, even though they're not even in high school anymore. They're still our kids, but they keep on coming back year after year and acting with us. So, but my son broke me down enough, and I came in, and like Sandy was saying, this building draws you, and certain people especially, and I fell in love with the building, and I said I was going to act one night.
Would you say that you kind of have an obsession for it?
Yeah. I think about it when we go home, and we're up here every weekend without fail throughout the whole year, even when we're not open and we're not running, ghost hunts or anything like that because of the cold.
Right.
We still come up here every weekend. We're here now.
Now, what's happened to you, Jackie? Personally,
then there's just several things. I'm touched many times, but one time we were sitting in the offices, and it was booking in offices, and we were just sitting talking. We weren't even really
in the dark.
Yeah, we weren't ghost hunting. We had our K2s and our flashlights, but we were just sitting in the dark, just chit chatting. And the chair I was sitting in, and it's an old chair that's pretty original to the building, got violently shaken while I was sitting in it. Yeah. And it wasn't like it just shifted a little, like it shook. It scared the crap out of me.
Well, when she jumped, I'm like, what? I don't know what's going on,
Yeah, I jumped out of that chair really quick.
Yeah. And she has a bad back, and that was like the fastest I saw her go.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do other people feel? I'm sorry. I wanted to ask a question about being drawn there and the obsession with it. Other than you two, is it common for people who visit the jailhouse to feel that as well?
Yeah, and it's not everybody.
No,
but you'll get people that come in, and all of a sudden they're like, "Can I volunteer here? I'll do anything. I'll help." And then they're just here. And they just kind of stay and, become part of like the jail crew.
You guys will see. It's an amazing building. And right when you walk in, you can just feel the history as you're walking in the door. It's an amazing building.
Yeah, it like breathes on you.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. And I go to other locations, like if we go hunt somewhere else, and I'll be walking around, and I have never felt what I feel here.
Yeah.
I've never felt that much connection, and sometimes we're at other locations and I'm like, man, it's not the jail.
Yeah. I think what happens sometimes is that the spirits of, like, we've been to many haunted houses. I think some people are connected to houses because either they live in them, so they have a connection. So you girls actually kind of live there in a sense. So maybe a lot of spirits are very used to you.
Well, it's like you're home away from home, kind of.
Quick story, and it's her story, but she had been out for a couple weeks, recently with she was just stuff going on. And she came back one weekend, and we had some friends in here. We're doing the Estes method, with the headphones. And we had walked into booking, and the guy that had the headphones on all of a sudden yells out, "Jackie's here." Yeah. Like, that's what he heard through the headphones.
Oh, wow.
I yelled out to him. I was like, because we couldn't see him. We knew about where he was, but I was like, I'm in here. And he goes, "Oh, oh, you really are? He goes, I was just repeating what I just heard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
And like I've had the ovulus spit out my name, you know. Sometimes we think they think we're wardens because sometimes we walk into a room and all activity will stop.
Yep.
Like if a group is in there and getting a lot of stuff, we walk in, boom, it goes dead. You know, like wardens.
One of the things I want to do when we go there is I want to do a thing of, have you ever done sensory deprivation?
I have not personally done it. No.
See, what I would love to do is, how many floors is it again?
3.
It's like 3, right? Yeah.
3 floors. I'd like to get one person on every floor at the same time to do a sensory deprivation inside of a cell. Of course, we got to get their volunteers. I mean, I'll be more than happy to do one.
I'm
And
not.
I want to see if people could do a sensory. You don't want to?
We will be more than
So I wanna
happy
see what
let you
happens.
guys volunteer to do that.
We'll observe.
We'll watch it.
We'll watch.
We'll observe from the camera. Yeah, I hear you. I understand. So this will take us into our part of it, Steve, where we're going to start talking about the people who have been assigned to the Cook County Jail, the Lake County Jail. I'm sorry, I work at the Cook County Jail.
Right.
So the Lake County Jail. I'm so used to saying it, at the Lake County Jail, who are inmates there. First off, we have Mr. John Dillinger. Can you take us into what happened with him? If you can show the picture, Steve.
Yep, I'm looking for John. Did we? I don't know if we.
Yeah,
there
we
we go.
did. There he is.
There we go.
Yeah, Dillinger's the claim to fame. You know what I mean? It's the best known story about this jail. I'll tell you, we really have not seen any evidence Dillinger's here.
No.
At all. Occasionally something will come up that may be connected to Dillinger, but so basically Dillinger did a bank heist in East Chicago. And when he came out of the bank, this is in 1933. When he came out of the bank, he was using the bank manager as a human shield. And Detective O'Malley was the first one on scene, took a shot at Dillinger. Dillinger had been wearing a bulletproof vest, so it didn't affect him. And he returned fire, and Detective O'Malley was killed that day. Dillinger said he didn't do it. His partner Hamilton did it, whatever it was, but they got away. They ended up in Tucson, Arizona, where the building they were staying in caught on fire. Well, they tried to get the firemen to go in to get their bags and give them like $12, and that tipped off the firemen who they were. So they get caught. Well, Indiana wants him back for that murder, and they didn't have the money to do it. So the press jumped in and said, we'll pay half if we get an exclusive when he gets to your jail, So they bring him back here. And they actually transported him by airplane, which is not common. He was the first person to be transported by airplane like that. They always did inmates or, over the ground. So they get him here, and pretty soon the press shows up. And this picture that you're showing was actually taken in the jail. The woman in the picture.
Oh, it was.
Huh?
It was in the jail?
Yeah, this one was taken in the jail. And the woman in the picture is Lillian Holly. Her husband, Roy Holly, was the sheriff. He was shot and killed in a property dispute, and they asked her to finish his term of office. She had been the prison matron the whole time, so she understood the workings of the jail. But she agreed. So she happened to be the sheriff when Dillinger was brought here. And then it gets a little muddy. He was taken to the 3rd floor for about a week, then brought down to the 1st floor. They had a guy like a turnkey, somebody that just comes in and does work around the building. And this guy was kind of like Otis off of Andy Griffith. He had spent time here himself, And
so would he come in like drunk on his own and say, "Hey, Andy"?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, so he goes in the cell block, and whether Dillinger had a real gun carved out of wood, whatever it was, he convinced Cahoon that he had a real gun, and Cahoon calls in, another detective down there, the guy that was doing fingerprinting that day, Ernie Blanc, calls him down there, and he gets him to round up everybody working in the building, lock him in his cell. They go try to take a car out of the garage, and none of the keys were in there. So they come back in the building. They're going to find these keys. Well, the warden's wife hears all this going on. And when you get here, you'll see in Dillinger's cell block, there's a peephole, and that peephole goes into the warden's apartment. And the wife heard it. She ran around to see what was going on. She got locked in a closet. He goes down the street, steals Lily and Holly's car, the sheriff's car, from the town garage and drives off. So no shots fired, no chase given,
and then
nothing. He walked out.
And then July of that same year, then he was killed by the FBI in front of the Biographs Theater. Yeah. Steve, you can take that picture down.
Yeah, he made it to Chicago.
And nobody ever, because people have claimed that he's still haunting, but you've never ever come across any evidence to substantiate that, correct?
We had an Ovilus once spit out the word Dillinger, which I thought was odd because they usually have like a bank of 2,000 words or something. And for one of the old Oviluses, and for that to spit out Dillinger was a little odd. We've had a few mediums that say they've connected with Dillinger. But as far as like running into him, not really. And most groups don't.
Really?
No. And, I'll let you go.
No, it's fine. Continue.
No, I was going to say the other guy you talked about, James First Salmons, he's the one we run into.
Yeah, that brings me into actually Mr. First Salmons. I mean, this guy, he just looks, just angry.
What's his nickname, Furs? Is that
right? Do you know why his name was Fur?
Yeah.
Or is that?
I don't know what your
I hate to ask why, but
yeah, I don't know what your show is rated, but that was his favorite part of a woman.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he liked the fur, did he?
Yeah.
For the kids.
For the kids.
So this guy,
he liked kitty cats. Right. Okay, got it.
All right, go ahead.
So this guy has, oh my gosh, his history is, longer than your arm. He got off the death penalty, I don't know how many times, honestly. But in 1915, him and another guy named John Lynch kill a saloon keeper, right? And they both get away with it. He doesn't end up back here till 1933. He actually was here right before Dillinger was here. Supposedly a Capone hitman, went out on a lot of hits for Capone, brutalized an 11-year-old little girl. Nasty.
Horrible guy.
Nasty guy, And anyway, going back a little bit, in 1917, John Lynch was brought here. And they were like, yeah, you killed the saloon keeper. And he's up there going, no, Salmons did it. I didn't do it. Salmons did it. And finally they beat him down and he said, okay, I did it. And he asked for a razor to shave before he went before the judge. And he actually slit his throat ear to ear here at the jail.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So he died in the jail.
John Lynch did.
John Lynch. Yeah, the one that Salmons and him committed that murder together. But Salmons comes back here in 1933. He actually wasn't here that long. And then he went through the judge and everything, and they sent him to Indiana State Prison. But for some reason, he's the energy that we've been running into for years. And his energy can actually make you physically sick, but it's usually women. And you feel like pressure in your head. You feel nauseous, dizzy. And he'll answer with the K2. You can have full conversations.
Yeah.
So Salmons, not Lynch, you're talking about. Okay. All right. And what about Lynch, though? I mean, he killed himself inside the county jail.
Right.
They see a lot of shadow people in that area.
Well, yeah. And the crazy thing is, we learn so much history as we go along. We find new inmates, whatever. We didn't even know about Lynch till about 2 years ago.
Yeah, just a couple of years.
And so we go in and we'll call him out, but we haven't had any connection yet that we feel is John Lynch. But we haven't tried real hard with him. We had a medium come through and tell us that we were actually the ones making the hauntings here. By going in there and calling them out.
Telling their stories over and over again.
Yeah. So I don't know, but we haven't really found John Lynch yet.
Well, Okay. So then that brings us into and like I said, we're just going to do about 3 of these, and then we're going to ask you girls some other questions. The other that's well known, Mr. Frank McLean.
Mickerline.
Mickerline. I'm sorry, Mickerline. He was also a gangster, a hitman for the Al Capone era, correct? He was also the person who was well known for the Tommy gun. And he was in cell number 10. I believe you were telling me that, Sandy.
Yeah, the crazy thing is we just found out about this guy not long ago at all. And when I get a hold of a new inmate, I'll go a little crazy on it. And I love research. I will do tons of research, you know. And I mean, not to tout the author or anything, but there is a whole book on this guy. And I just got it. Haven't read it yet. But yeah, I found out this guy was here. So we went looking into it and everything, find out more about him. He did introduce the Tommy gun into Chicago, was the first person to kill someone with the Tommy gun. Him and Capone were actually rivals. Mickerline was a beer runner during Prohibition and stuff, and he was kind of getting in on Capone's territory, and they were, you know, kind of hated each other. Mickerline was a horrible drunk. He came into Crown Point, was sitting here drinking with his buddies, and his buddies were teasing him, saying they didn't believe he was a sharpshooter. And he said, yeah, watch this. Took out a gun, shot the guy at the end of the bar. The guy at the end of the bar was a Crown Point attorney, and his name was Thaddeus Fancher, and Fancher Lake is in our county fairgrounds here in Crown Point, like big family. And so the two guys that kind of were with him or told on him, one of them ends up shot to death in his car. The other ends up face up in a frozen lake. So there's no more witnesses. He gets acquitted. He never served time for that murder. And then he goes back to Chicago, and then later he gets sick, ends up in the hospital. Capone sends 2 guys in to kill him in the hospital. He's got a gun under his hospital bed pillow, and they have this shootout right there in the hospital. Mickerline doesn't die. He gets back out. Yeah. Him and his wife, she was a horrible drunk also. They're going for a drive. He ends up shooting her to death and her 2 dogs in their car. You know? Wow. And he ended up delusional at the end of his life. He got pneumonia. He was delusional. He was outside shooting in the air saying, they're coming to get me. Talked about demons coming to get him. All kinds of stuff. And just ended up dying a horrible death. He's also the guy that originated the phrase long ride or let's go for a ride, which, you know, you always see in gangsters, you know, when you go for a ride, you're not coming back. Supposedly he's the one that originated the phrase.
Yeah, I was reading about that. Another person also said in their honest assessment of his life, I do not remember that he ever did anything good in his life.
I believe it.
And that's a very big statement to make about a human.
You know, a lot of the gangsters being kind of in the business that they're in, a lot of prostitution and stuff like that. Some of them get like venereal disease, like syphilis, and then they go crazy. You know?
Well, Al Capone did.
Al Capone did, right? And it sounds like this guy had some mental instability.
I mean, actually, a lot of people in Chicago, Al Capone was even in fear of this guy.
Because he was crazy and he had a hot temper. He had a terrible temper.
Yeah.
So how did he
pneumonia.
die again? Like
pneumonia took him out.
Pneumonia. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
and he also believed that there was a phantom ghost that was hunting him.
He had talked about demons. Spirits coming to get him. He felt he was being like chased all the time, and we just started going in, and we kind of know where he might have been, because in those newspaper articles, it also talked about him saying his constitutional rights were being violated because they had him in solitary confinement. He was here in 1926. That was before the last edition of our jail was put on. So we know he was in the front.
Yeah.
And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
4.
Yeah, there's only like 4 solitary confinement cells in the front half where we know he was. So that narrows it down to where he could have been, for us. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now, there was never any executions at the county jail
No.
back in the early days, right?
No, if you got a death sentence, they would send you either to state or I don't know, wherever else.
Well, no court sanctioned executions.
Right. We have a long list of homicides, suicides, things like that. But yeah,
accidents.
Okay. Now, were there a lot of suicides at the county jail? Or do you guys have a number?
1882 to 1975. It was open a long time. We were lucky enough that there was tons of inmate cards here. So I take those names and I put them into like newspapers.com and I find their stories, and I print them all out and we find a lot of died in cell, and stuff like that. Yeah. And that one guy set himself on fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy things happened here.
Oh.
Now, Steve, you had a question about World War II.
So I'm not sure about this. I did do a little reading, but I couldn't find anything really that substantiated this other than a few comments here and there. Is it true that there's a World War II era history about the old Lake County Jail where I guess World War II prisoners from Germany were brought in and housed there before being moved on to another prison camp? I don't know if this is true or not. Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything like that? Or is that maybe just largely a rumor?
I've never heard anything about that.
Yeah, me neither.
And that was supposed to be like in the 40s in there, World War II?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Then again, this is like kind of doing some research on it. I came across a few things that just didn't really seem like substantiated, and I just wanted to clarify whether or not there's any legitimacy to that, because it was like I should check with these ladies.
Steve, when you Google Lake County Jail, a lot of states and counties are Lake County. There's a lot of Lake County jails. You may have hit like the Ohio one.
Oh yeah, I mean we have a Lake County here in Illinois.
Yeah, we have Lake County, Illinois.
But this was specifically. It was specifically referencing in Crown Point.
Really?
I didn't think that there was anything to it, but I just wanted to check.
I'll look into it. I do know that Lake County used to do sweeps of illegal immigrants. They would drop off anywhere from 200 to 500 to await deportation here at the jail. They would just throw them on cots anywhere back there with the inmates. I know that went on, and Crown Point has a lot of German cemeteries. It was more German founded,
Right.
I don't know though. I'd have to look into that. I've never heard that.
Okay.
That's cool though.
All right. So let's get into some of the pictures that you submitted to us. Steve, can you pull up some of the pictures as we go through them? Please explain them to us.
If we'll start with this one here.
So this looks like the hallway. This is the before picture, and then you have this after picture.
Yeah.
And this was taken inside the county
So
jail.
this
Tell us a
is,
little about it.
we call it the tunnel. It basically connects the 1908 edition to the 29 edition. And that is a crazy active spot.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things that happen there, and a lot of it is up high.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is there's a dark energy in there up high. And for, when I first started hearing about Frank Mickerline, because he would have been either in one of the cell blocks on either side of this tunnel or above, but I was wondering if he was that dark energy in there, but a lot of times in the tunnel, if you just stand in there in the dark and you turn your head, there'll be a face right in your face.
In your face.
Yeah. And then we've lined up the K2s down the whole thing, and you'll get the residual stuff like guards walking back and forth maybe, but the tunnel has a lot of dark energy to it.
All right. All right. Well, it's definitely a place that we definitely have to check out. That there's a fact. We have to definitely check into
Are you
that.
going
Now,
to do
ladies,
the sensory deprivation in there, Neal?
should we do a sensory deprivation right there? I don't know.
I don't
So,
know.
ladies, we're going to stop for a second. We are going to do a little segment that we call
Dun,
Into
dun,
the
dun.
Shadows with Shell.
Attention, all lost souls. It's time to get into the shadows with Shell.
Beyond Our Sin by Shell Ward. In the prison's halls, ghosts do roam. Their haunting whispers fill the dome. Where once the prisoners did dwell, amidst the cold and musty cells, now roam the spirits of the dead. Their moans and whispers fill the dread. They're prisoners of a different kind, forever trapped, forever confined. Their chains are made of memories, of past regrets and miseries. Their cells are made of dark despair and echoes of their endless prayer. They wander through the empty halls, their shadowy forms against the walls. Their stories lost, their names erased, yet their presence can't be replaced. The prison holds its secrets tight, but the ghosts keep watch both day and night. The clanging of heavy doors echoes through the ghostly floors, as shadowy figures flit and glide in a dance of terror, side by side. Their souls may be forever bound, but within the prison's walls, they're found. A warning to those who enter in that some things are beyond our sin.
And now, back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much for that poem.
Mm-hmm.
We always love it when Michelle can put out some of the poems that has to deal with the title subject. It's always good to hear from you. All right, so let's get back to the pictures, girls.
Yes.
We got another picture.
So there's this picture here. It's like a shadowy
Yeah,
type
so
of figure.
this is at the top of the cell. We're out in the guard walk.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that was graffiti.
Oh, okay.
So the K2s were going off. We all felt something. Nobody saw this until we saw the picture. And it was just this big dark mass. And there were several photos of it. And like I said, we weren't seeing it with our eyes, but the K2s were reacting. We felt it. And then we happened to catch it. Dark masses, the white misty stuff, are real common in here. And like colored orbs that you see with your eyes. Almost like pen lights will zoom across the room, like red, blues, greens. Really? I have no idea what those are, but we do see those a lot also.
Sometimes we'll even get what we call pixie dust, where it just looks like a burst of like glitter. Yeah. That will and it just goes through, and something happens usually right after we see the pixie dust.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would be your reasoning to think why there would be a haunting at the county jail? What would cause this, you think? In your opinion?
This place was corrupt. I mean, a lot of jails have their thing, right? There was a time in the history where 5 guards were indicted for bringing in prostitutes, alcohol, and drugs to the inmates. There was a huge drug problem here. There was a lot of fights. Female inmates were being used for male inmates. By
the guards. The guards were basically selling the women up on the 3rd floor to all the other inmates throughout the building.
Wow.
Yeah. There was just a lot of incidences over the years that it was running that put a negative energy in here for one. And then the type of people that you had in here, your pedophiles, your rapists, your arsonists, murderers.
So many different people.
And it was supposed to house like 250, but the overcrowding was horrible here. There's one cell block, 6 cells, 4 to a cell, and they did like a article in the 1966. They came in and even took pictures. There were 55 men in that one cell block. You know, the math don't add. It was overcrowded. There were fights. There were gangs in here. Rival gangs kept in here. You know, and over that period of time, that much negativity, it stays. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, your answer is exactly the answer I was looking for. It's actually a very common thing, and I explain it the same way, is that jails and prisons, the reason why is because there's a negative process that's going on there, and it causes negativity, not to just the inmates who are bringing it, but then it also causes the staff, and the staff just doesn't like to be there, period, because you're already in a negative area. So that's what I was looking for.
That's, you know, goes into all of it.
Oh, yeah.
The same reason churches, you know, are going to be haunted, and it's, you know, in schools, stuff like that, just because of the amount of energy, whether it's good or bad.
The projection that people are doing.
Depression,
Right,
you know,
and
anxiety,
some joy and happiness too. You know,
we've had good experiences too. The house itself completely different. You come in the house and the sheriff and his family were required to live here by law up till 1958. So like the bedrooms upstairs, the house, completely different. Once you cross that threshold, like the door to the jail is right here in the living room with us. You open that door and you go straight into booking and into the jail. So once you cross that threshold, feeling changes completely. Like you feel it.
Really?
Yeah, it's a physical feeling.
Yeah.
And were there like stories of inmates experiencing a haunting while in the cells? Like when did people really start to notice the place was haunted?
We've heard stories. Nothing I can verify. We did have a man who was a guard here before it closed in the late 60s into 70s. And he actually took us on a personal tour and told us lots of stuff. Sometimes we had to turn off the mic, you know, for some of those stories.
Okay, right.
But he talked about it, that the staff, you know, had their stories of hauntings going on while they were here.
Wow. Yeah, everybody's got the stories here. I'm going to show you a picture.
Oh, they have one more picture too, Neal.
Oh, yeah. Okay, please. I'm sorry.
And I do want to talk about this one here.
This is so awesome.
This is kind of what we think of as shadow people, I guess.
Yeah, that is a neat. And, were you girls there when this picture was taken,
we were
or was
here.
it from a group?
This is third floor juvenile. You know, and I don't want to be a crazy conspiracy person at all, and I don't want to sound that way, but so I had a couple friends that had their own show. They came in to do some filming. They brought a medium from Chicago, you know, and he wouldn't come in. He wouldn't come in. They finally got him to come in. He went inside. He kind of threw his arms up in the air, said, "I am your vessel," and then went insane. Like ran out the front door, jumped face first into the grass, ran up and down the street saying that they were trying to kill him. The cops were called, ambulances, fire trucks. It was chaos, right? So I call the guy later and say, yeah, like what happened, you know? And he told me all this stuff, missing time. And then he died. Like, healthy guy.
Yeah.
Like,
what?
And then I find out like a week after a phone call, he dies. So the picture we were just looking at, the real person there, freak accident at work. Not long after this. And he's gone.
Oh no.
He was a friend of ours. It's just, and I don't know, have you guys ever heard of the shepherd's tones? It's like an ascending, descending tone that's supposedly banned by the Catholic Church for bringing out demonic entities, right? So
Oh wow.
Okay, I had a group come in and ask if
ahead.
they could do that, and we're kind of, sure. Let's see what happens. I guess.
Let's see what happens,
and
man.
so they did, and loud speakers reverberating through the entire jail. Right. Well, that night, the 3 guys that were here end up in the hospital with pneumonia. All 3. My sister left and hit a deer. Got into a pretty bad accident with her son hitting a deer. The team that was with me then, huge fight that night. We didn't speak to each other for like 4 years. It was just like bam, bam, bam after that happened.
Yeah.
And I can't say it wasn't, I don't know.
It was all that night that it all happened.
Coincidental in the least. Yeah.
It's odd. It's just something that's odd. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know. Steve, should we go this one?
Well, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
When we come back.
I swear to you, I am not crazy. Ask anybody.
Crazy.
But we'll be like,
It's all right. We are.
you'll be like sitting at home doing nothing, whatever, and you'll be like, somebody's moving around in the basement at the jail. Like you just.
Yeah.
All right, so there is a basement.
It's the original 1882 basement on the one side, dirt floor. The ceilings are probably 16 feet up.
Yeah, they're high.
And then the other side is like newer with cement and everything. It is the craziest basement you'll ever see. And there was an inmate.
So we have a. I'm sorry.
There was an inmate who was released and had nowhere to go, so they gave him a room down there, and he used to paint signs for the jail. And he was an alcoholic, and he drank Aquavelva aftershave and died. So his nickname is Smokey. We think we communicated with him. And there was a officer that worked here that felt he should have Catholic mass for the inmates, and was using a room in the basement to actually have like services with an altar in secret. Yeah.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that there was some kind of cult-like activity down in the basement.
I don't know what was going on.
Oh wow.
But the basement is an area where people have had panic attacks, and nauseous and sick, and just want to get out of there. You don't want to be down there.
Wow. Wow.
So we have someone who's coming with us who's a skeptic. And
oh, this is gonna be great.
And I'm just curious, how confident do you ladies feel that if we're doing an investigation and we brought a skeptic along with us, what do you think the percentage is that this person would leave going, oh yeah, I believe in the in paranormal afterlife? 99% chance.
99.
All right.
Wow.
We have there's one cell block on the main floor called trustees, the trusted inmates. And I can tell you 9 times out of 10, we have people go in there and stand in the doors with their back to the cell. And whoever's in there will either push you out or pull you in. And they do it all the time. That's just like their way of communicating with us, I guess. So yeah, and that's the area where Anne Cunningham was. 1925, she killed 3 of her children with arsenic. And she tried to hang herself while she was here also. But we feel she's part of whatever goes on in there. But that's where we put our skeptics right away.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now we know what to do, Neal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I'm really looking forward to this, ladies. I truly am. And I want to say thank you very much for
Neal,
being
show
on
them this
tonight.
picture, though.
Oh, let's show. So
We
speaking
want
of
you to see
negative,
something.
all right,
Okay.
tell us what you think of this picture. This was taken in a psych ward at the county jail where I'm at. And this shadow person was actually known to be roaming around the blocks, and other guys would see this. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like it. I agree.
Like right away, it's like,
You totally see
And
the light.
this is recent. This is recent.
Yeah, within the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely. So I thought I would share with you some from
A little,
another jail.
Yeah, another jail.
And it's actually well known inside that jail that I was talking about these things that actually a lot of inmates see. So, and once again, it's based off of negativity. So when negativity happens, a lot of these things seem to happen. So, But I want to thank you, Sandy and Jackie, for being on tonight, and I'm really looking forward to meeting the both of you. And on the 25th, and we're going to bring our little group with us, and we're going to have a good time. I'm buying pizza if there's a pizza place in town.
Right next door.
Right next door.
We're good. See, you got a haunted destination and a paranormal investigator's favorite food right next door. You can't go wrong.
Right. It's like
actually the pizza place is the boiler house, the old boiler house for the jail.
Oh dear
so
Lord.
It's part of the jail.
No. Is the guy's name Freddy Krueger who runs it? I don't know.
Well, and the one next to us is in the criminal courts building where the judge used to be. So we were connected by a bridge. So the inmates were over there by that and said they're haunted too. So yeah, cool places to get pizza.
Cool. I'm digging it already.
You could get something at the mansion, like right over on the street. That used to be the funeral home.
Really? Wow. Man, you got everything right there.
Yeah.
You got your own community.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, ladies, thanks again for coming on. This was Sandy and Jackie. Sandy and Jackie, do you want to tell us, the audience that we have, when you're going to be starting back up tours?
Tours start back up we start booking in March. So crownpointjail@gmail.com is how you can contact us to get available dates for the ghost hunts.
Yeah.
And then regular tours. If you're just into history, we'll start our regular tours in May, and those are on Saturday mornings from 10 to 1.
Great. Okay. That's great. Yeah. Steve, do you have anything else?
No, I'm excited to go there. Well, part of me is excited to go there, and the other part is deeply afraid.
Good. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was Sandy and Jackie of the Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana. And of course, that's Steve. And as always, boys and girls, boo. Boo.